Hello everybody, my name is Jeremy Solomon and I am the Artistic Director of JJ Theatric. These past few months have been a very strange time. People are spending more time at home, even working from home. Classes from schools have started happening. Kids are taking those classes from their home and they have a lot of free time at home right now. I'm using the word at home a lot because everyone is at home. They're baking at home, they're cooking at home, they're gardening at home and trying to figure out so many new things that they want to do. In the past few years, what we have done is we have a lot of workshops and training sessions for kids, especially in the summer. But this time we weren't able to do that. So just like almost everybody else, we took our training online. And over the course of 1 month, close to 10 students came together from different walks of life, from different schools, and we had an online filmmaking and photography workshop. And it was a lot of fun. Every 2 days in the week, every Tuesday and Thursday, we would meet and it would just be 2 hours of learning and having fun. And these kids had a blast. Towards the end of this course, we decided to venture out and experiment with making a short film. So we exchanged ideas and we started putting things together and putting concepts together, and the kids, for the most of it, the kids ended up doing this on their own. I just took a back seat and I facilitated this entire thing. Over the course of that 1 month, they took everything that they learned and they put it into this one short film. Now, let me just tell you a few things that I found interesting. One was, naturally, like I said before, almost everything they did on their own, and I don't just mean recording a few things and putting a movie together. They worked as one team and gave different people different responsibilities. These kids put in their hard work to put this film together. Not only did they do this, they worked as a team and gave different people different responsibilities. For instance, there were some people working on editing, there were some people collecting sound effects and background music, and there was a director, there were people telling how to shoot, they created their own storyboards, they created their own script, and they got either themselves or people in their house to record themselves acting in this video. And it was really cool because they acted in their own houses and sent it to one place and they put it together, they stitched it together. So that was really cool. So that's one thing. The second thing is that they brought it down to their level, but it was still sophisticated for that level itself, because this is a really smart bunch of kids. Now what they did was they showed us life at school, and it wasn't all happy and all nice. There were ups and downs in the story, but they showed us different characters and different kids, and it really showed us how everyday school life goes about, and I found that really interesting. Now the third thing I want to talk about, which is to me perhaps the most important part of this, is they included a character that is autistic. And this was not instigated by me, this idea was not instigated by me, it came completely from their side, and because it did, I encouraged it. I did guide them on a path to have them create this character without the cliches of what it would be like to be autistic. And this is perhaps not the main character, but I like how they included this character in the short film to perhaps start a conversation. And because they did this, towards the end of this video, after you watch the movie, I'm going to have a conversation with Chitra Paul, an expert in the field of dealing with special needs children and works in the field of special needs education. So stick around to the end if you want to listen in to the conversation that she and I had. And we're going to dive into the video right now, and here we go, guys.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey.
Jonas.
Hey, Melissa.
Somebody stole my lunch money. There was $500.
Jonas, sit down. Everyone, bags on the table and empty your pockets too. There's nothing here.
Melissa, I am surely disappointed. You, of all people?
I didn't do it.
So how do you explain the money in your bag?
I don't know how it got there. I didn't do it.
Principal's office, Melissa.
Melissa, I can't believe you would do this. You are my star student.
But I didn't do it.
The money was found in your bag. You will be suspended for 2 days and you have to apologize to Jonas. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
What did you do in class these 2 days?
Why did you steal the money from Jonas?
I did not steal it. I was with you all along. Why do you think I stole it?
The money was in your bag, and I have every right to think that you did it.
Has it ever crossed your mind I could have been framed?
Why would anyone frame you?
I don't know, but we'll find out.
How do we find out who actually did it? We've been trying to find it out since an hour. Wait a minute. The security cameras. How could we not thought of that sooner? Wait a minute. We can't just walk in and ask. We have to hack in. There's only one person in our class who can do this sort of stuff without being discovered. Margaret. Hey, Margaret.
Hi.
I was wondering if you could help us. Please? Great, come on.
Where are we going?
My house. Your mom is okay with it, right?
Actually, okay. I'll come.
We need you to hack inside the school security system. Is that okay?
I'll do it.
Thank you. You don't know how much it means to me.
I found it.
Wait, can you zoom in on that person?
Okay.
Jonas? Why would Jonas do it?
Probably wanted to get payback for something you did to him. You see, the human brain,
Send it to my phone. We have someone to confront. Jonas, do you have something to say?
What do you mean?
How about sorry?
Sorry for what?
Why did you put your lunch money in my bag?
I didn't.
Well then, how do you explain this?
How did you get that?
Why did you do it, Jonas?
Remember all the times I got in trouble for something that you did and you blamed me?
Can I borrow a crayon? Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry, Jonas broke it. It's okay.
What?
Hey, you want to say something? Yeah, I wanted to give this candy to you, Melissa. Thank you. Make sure not to give anybody else. Okay. Okay. Okay, bye. Bye. And put it in Jonas's bag.
What?
I'm so sorry, Jonas. I don't know how I can make it up.
You could take the blame this time.
I didn't do it this time.
You didn't do this. You asked you how you could make it up for me, and that's my answer.
No one will be taking the blame for anything.
Mrs. Heather.
Melissa didn't do it. And that's what I'm going to tell everyone. The truth about the one who really did it will be kept as a secret between us and the principal. But hacking? Whoa! Girls, I think it's a bit too much. Detention for you both. Please be seated, class. I have something to say. After a lot of investigation, we have found out that Melissa didn't do it. She was actually framed. The one who framed her will not be revealed. I bet all of us have something to say, Melissa.
Alright everyone, so you just saw the short film and I really like what the kids have done, and like I told you before, we're going to have a conversation with somebody who works a lot with children on the autism spectrum. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mrs. Chitra Paul to come on board. Chitra, so nice to have you on board, and I want to thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm very glad to be part of this venture. So, without taking much time, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Chitra Paul, and I am a trained special educator, and I've donned multiple hats. One of them was as a clinical microbiologist many years ago. But currently, I work more with parents. I manage parent support groups on social media. I mentor parents, and also I'm involved in trying to spread awareness about autism and inclusion, and work towards that in that sense, to create a more inclusive society. And last but not the least, I'm also mom to a 15-year-old teenager who's on the autism spectrum. So that is my connect with autism. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you spoke to us about having a teenager who's on the spectrum. Can you tell us a little bit of what is that mean? What does that term on the spectrum mean? And in that process, define what is autism for us as well.
Okay. When I'm speaking to a common person who doesn't have any clue about autism, I'll just quote somebody. There's a writer by the name of Matt Haig, and in his book titled Reasons to Stay Alive, he talks about what is normal. So he says that normal is subjective. and there are 7 billion versions of normal on this planet. So that for me sounds like neurodiversity. And in simple terms, autism is just that. It's having a different kind of brain. It's a differently wired brain. It's a neurodiverse brain. But if I go into the technicalities, it's a condition in which the brain develops differently and at a different pace. So things that maybe a child may do fast, a person with autism may take a few more years to develop and achieve. So that is what autism is basically. It's just a differently wired brain, and because of that, they have a lot of issues. They face a lot of issues with communication, with socialization, and other sensory issues. So, and it is up to us to accept them as they are and include them.
All right. And could you tell us a little bit more of what is the spectrum? Why is it called a spectrum? And what is the range in which the spectrum exists? If there is a range at all.
Yeah, there is a range. There definitely is a range. That's why it's called a spectrum disorder. So the spectrum is like, on one end,
Yes,
you have individuals or children with autism who are very verbal, who can speak and who can actually speak 19 to the dozen, and do a lot of higher order things like higher level calculations, mathematical calculations, or are music prodigies, or extraordinary skills with memory, etc. And on the other end, you also have individuals who struggle with their daily living activities. Like they struggle to learn to do something as simple as maybe brushing their teeth or taking a bath. And they are often not verbal, in the sense that they have little or no speech, and they struggle to communicate. They don't know how to communicate, and they lead very isolated lives in that sense. So that is why it's called a spectrum. It can range from an extreme of savant skills or extraordinary skills to the other extreme where people struggle with the basic skills.
All right, that's very interesting. I personally didn't know that. So I just wanted to ask, for generations now, for many years, people have existed with autism, and for me, only in the recent past, not so recent past as well, I've heard a lot of people talk about it as well. So I want to know, what is it to be somebody, or rather, what is autism like in today's society?
Okay, autism, the term itself came about, and the understanding that this is a different kind of a disability, I would say, came about quite late. It was around 1940s. Okay, and the description was often about individuals or children who were lost in themselves. So it was assumed, and the understanding has carried on over the generations, that these are individuals who would rather be alone, who don't like to socialize, and who don't understand quite a lot of things. And even the terms like mental retardation have been associated with them. So all those would give you a clue about how people with autism have been treated and how they are looked upon. They have always been treated as somewhere inferior and looked upon as outliers, as I would call it, of society. People not fitting the norms in that sense. And they've always been ridiculed and sympathized for being different and because of their deficits. The deficits mainly being in terms of socialization, because they clearly have issues with socializing in the way that we neurotypicals, the normal people, so-called normal people, look at things. And also communication. Many of them struggle with communication, and these two elements, the socio-communicational difficulties, really make them to stand out and be kept out of the normal social circles. So they've always been outliers, and they've always been made to and thought of as being different, as odd, as quirky. And all this leads to what? It leads to lesser acceptance. And if you go to the extremes, it can even lead to abuse and isolation. And I won't say that this is the general rule, but this is mostly the rule. We do have people with autism who have savant skills who are celebrated, but the majority of the community gets outlined, like they are pushed out of the mainstream society, out of sight, kind of. And this is mainly because of a lack of awareness about what autism is. And as you mentioned, Jeremy, even you didn't know about what autism was. So it's true for most people out there that people don't know what autism is all about, and they just look at certain behaviors that these individuals exhibit as being the norm, and as indicative of them not being able to understand and being inferior in some way. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's come quite a way, but yeah, there is still a
Yes.
long way to go.
Yes,
what I would say, before society accepts
I
them
would only imagine.
totally.
And you saw the short film that we just watched, and here we have children all together, and there is one character who exhibits certain traits, and I know you're going to talk about this a little later as well, but how do we look at and or deal with autism and children, and how do we sensitize them when we look at the dynamics of them interacting with other children around them?
So specifically, if we talk about the dynamics of how children with autism and without autism interact, what I have learned from my personal experience is that children are very accepting, and they adapt, and they find ways to get any child with any difference involved in their play, in their activities, etc. So it's only us adults that who struggle with accepting and including. So yeah.
Right. And you also spoke about sometimes we don't recognize that a person may be autistic because the traits or the symptoms that they show may be common to what other people have as well. And what is the correct way to go about and sensitize people about this? I would think awareness. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, awareness is, I think, the most critical thing to be spread. If more people could understand autism better, because if you look at it from a society point of view, autism is often very misunderstood. As I mentioned earlier also, it's always because many of these individuals have certain behaviors, repetitive behaviors, which we call as stims, and these are actually self-calming usually, or because of some sensory processing issues that they have. And these are often mistaken for the person being lost in their own world, or maybe even to the extreme of maybe the person may harm somebody else, etc. So, but if there is awareness out there, people would better understand. And because of a lack of awareness, what happens is that most of these people get excluded from a lot of things. So a simple example I would take is many children on the spectrum have have sensitivities to sound. So they can't bear loud sounds, they can't bear a lot of sound, like for example in a crowd, etc. And when they're taken to such a place, they may have a meltdown, as we call. That is the term we use. That is, generally their whole system collapses in terms of their sensory organs, because they are being bombarded with too much of sensory inputs. And if the people present in that situation are aware about this, they would react very differently. But generally what happens is the child is ticked off as being too fussy, throwing a tantrum, etc. And the child is negatively labeled, whereas it's a genuine issue for them. And if we just, the simplest thing that somebody could do is take the child out of that loud area, and the child will self-calm himself or herself. So that's the difference that basic awareness can create. And when people are more aware, they also have they also take greater chances to accept. They take those steps to accept and include these people. So awareness is very, very important, because there are a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions about autism which are out there, and I think only awareness will change that.
All right. And now coming to closer to the end of this conversation, you saw the short film that the kids made, and I was very impressed by what they did, not only in terms of being able to put together something like this in such a short time, but to also touch upon an issue like autism. And personally, I don't know why they decided to go down that route, but I didn't want to discourage them. However, I did guide them through how to go about it. What is your take on after watching this short film?
Okay, first of all, I have to congratulate the children, because they've done a wonderful job of making that movie. And for me personally, what I was most touched about was when you mentioned that they had one of the characters, that is Margaret specifically, was they had visualized the character to be somebody who is on the spectrum. And I was touched because these were children who had no clue about autism, most probably, and they were willing and open to having such a character in a movie that they were making. So this actually is very much in tune with what I talked about earlier, about children being more accepting. And I just love the movie and the thought and the whole process that they've done in making the movie. Now, coming to the character of Margaret, I will not say that she stands out very distinctly as somebody on the spectrum, because basically it's very difficult to pinpoint and say, okay, this person may be on the spectrum, or this person is on the spectrum. I would reword it. This person is on the spectrum is difficult to say. Yes, Margaret does definitely show some traits that people with autism, some people with autism struggle with. In fact, many of them struggle with things like struggling to make eye contact, which is very well portrayed by the child who's playing Margaret. And because that's something that most people with autism struggle with. And something else that has been portrayed is that she's not a very social kind of a person. And her struggles with the socializing skills. Her socializing skills are very poor in that sense. So, and that comes across quite well. And something else about the character that's stands out is about her exceptional skills in hacking. And this is again something which is seen in some autistic people or some people with autism. And we call them savant skills, like exceptional skills that they, extraordinary skills that they have. And Margaret does show exceptional skills in hacking, and the children seek her help in hacking and solving the issue. That is what the whole movie is about. And though that skill is not very specific, like these skills, these exceptional skills are not seen in all people with autism, but yes, some people do have. So based on all this, I would say that Margaret, the character of Margaret, does have some traits of autism, but we can't specifically say that she is on the spectrum, because there is a whole process of assessment and evaluation which is done before somebody is given a diagnosis of autism. And I would rather it's not spoken of very loosely, but yes, she does seem to have a few traits. But the bigger thing that a bigger picture, if you look at it, would be about including anybody who's different. It could be a person with autism, or it could be a person with some other difference. But the whole concept of including is what is most important. And all of us have differences, as I said earlier also. And people with autism can be different in some ways, but they are not lesser, as Temple Grandin says. And if we can accept people with their differences, autistic or people not on the spectrum, with their differences, accept them with their differences, and the beauty of it is that at some point maybe they do have some skills. It needn't be exceptional skills, they could be just ordinary skills, and they could be the ones who help us out. So, and that comes out very clearly in the movie. And I'll just end that I love the movie and the thought behind the children including a character who could possibly be on the spectrum. And yeah, the character does have a few traits and she could be autistic, but definitely she's different, and the whole concept of including is very well portrayed. And I'll just end with Temple Grandin's quote that people with autism can be different, but they are no less than others. And so we people who are neurotypicals just need to accept their differences and include them. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much once again, Chitra. That was very insightful and I learned a lot. And hopefully in watching this video, a lot of people will at least take the first step to start doing a little research, if not anything at all. And maybe some people can take it from there as well. And hopefully that's one thing we hope to achieve, is for them to start and to build and have conversations like such. So it was lovely having you on, and hopefully we might be thinking of doing something in the future as well. I don't know, maybe doors are open, but this was very nice, very interesting, and thank you once again. So guys, that was me in conversation with Chitra Paul, and I completely enjoyed myself, and I hope you did too. And not only that, I hope that it was insightful for it to maybe have you do a little research, do a little reading, and have conversations like this with other people. And I hope you enjoyed the short film. So guys, like, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to interact with you and know more about you. Also, I've linked the website, the Facebook page and the Instagram handle in the description, so have a look at that and you will know a little more of what we do. So guys, till next time.